Hello everybody, this is Joy KahNah. Did you all know that 70% of all of the empaths in the world are introverts? I did not know this until I read this book, which is called Quiet: The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. I read this earlier this month and I found the information to be refreshing and profound. This book speaks a lot about Western culture and the fact that in Western societies, especially the United States, that extroversion is really touted as being the ideal, and that from a very early age we are taught that being gregarious and being social and being loud is the way to be, and that it's the way to success and is necessary. This book, however, challenges that fact. What I have recently realized is that in my own experience, I started pretending to be an extrovert because that's what was expected in school, in the classroom. I always felt very self-conscious about my introverted tendencies. I never realized that there was such a strong link between intuition and empathy and sensitivity and psychic potential and introversion. I've always felt really positively about intuition and creativity and sensitivities and psychic abilities, and I've always felt really negative about the traits of introversion. So realizing that these traits are almost always found in the same individual has been a really healing experience for me. What I learned from this book is that essentially introversion is the same as empathy. So a lot of us have learned from society that introversion is about being reclusive, or that introverts are socially awkward, or that introverts are just these bookish, really intelligent, like geeky sort of people that are not interested in relationships. As a matter of fact, all those things are scientifically false about introverts. What is true about introverts, however, is that introverts have nervous systems that are more sensitive to environmental stimuli than people who are extroverts. This is why people with a more extroverted personality will love to go to a concert where people are jumping up and down and there's flashing lights. They want to maybe even have an energy drink before they go there, or wear all their bright colors and be around everybody else who's also wearing bright colors, and maybe even to be exposed to all the different smells and tastes and everything while they're at that concert. An extrovert would prefer an experience like that because they don't get a lot of stimulation from day-to-day life. It doesn't capture their attention as much because they're not as sensitive. A fundamental difference between introverts and extroverts is their sensitivity to environmental stimuli. And one of the examples in this book that really struck me was a study that was able to predict introversion or extroversion in babies. And the way that they actually did this was that the scientists went to very young infants. They went to the cribs of these young infants, and they sometimes went dressed like a clown, or they waved colorful objects and things in the baby's face, and what they found was that the babies who cried or screamed or who were trying to avert their gaze, later on, those babies were the ones that grew up to be introverts. Whereas the babies who just sat calmly and quietly when exposed to the clown, for example, were actually the ones that were going to grow up to be extroverts, because to them the presence of the clown wasn't really that stimulating. They thought, oh, look, a clown. Okay, like, look, a clown, that's interesting, but nothing to get too excited about. Another study mentioned in the book that was interesting to me was a study of biological metrics of stress based on the environment. And what was found is that People who are introverted actually experience elevated heart rate and actually sweat more easily when exposed to environmental stimuli. For this reason, it's actually the case that lie detector tests are not anywhere near as effective on introverts as they are on extroverts. For example, because in a lie detector test, a person is put in a stressful situation where another person is repeatedly asking them very intense personal questions. The lie detector tests actually measure truth or lying based on small amounts of perspiration, for example, that are coming off of a person. However, for an introvert, in that situation, they will experience the perspiration just because of having somebody else near them asking questions in an accusatory manner, regardless of whether they are actually lying or telling the truth. So yes, if you are somebody who is very, very sensitive to your environment, odds are that you are an introvert as well. And if you are somebody who is trying to figure out how you fit in the world, as a person who favors a more introverted type of lifestyle, I really recommend that you consider reading this book, Quiet. It's a very, very easy read, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I think that it can help a lot of people who are very sensitive to energies to feel more confident in who we all are. So now let's go over the survey to determine where you fall on the spectrum of introversion and extroversion. This comes from pages 13 and 14 of the book Quiet. This is a list of 20 different statements, and you want to just track for each one whether it is true or false for you. So you might want to get a piece of paper to write down your answers. Number 1, I prefer one-on-one conversations to group activities. Number 2, I prefer to express myself in writing. Number 3, I enjoy solitude. Number 4, I seem to care less than my peers about wealth, fame, and status. Number 5, I dislike small talk, but I enjoy talking in depth about topics that matter to me. Number 6, people tell me that I am a good listener. Number 7, I am not a big risk taker. Number 8, I enjoy work that allows me to dive in with few interruptions. Number 9, I like to celebrate birthdays on a small scale with 1 or 2 close friends or family members. Number 10, people describe me as soft-spoken or mellow. Number 11, I prefer not to show or discuss my work with others until it is finished. Number 12, I dislike conflict. Number 13, I do my best work on my own. Number 14, I tend to think before I speak. Number 15, I feel drained after being out and about, even if I've enjoyed myself. Number 16, I often let calls go through to voicemail. Number 17, if I had to choose, I would prefer a weekend with absolutely nothing to do as opposed to one with too many things scheduled. Number 18, I don't enjoy multitasking. Number 19, I can concentrate easily. And number 20, in a classroom situation, I prefer lectures to seminars. Alright, so once you're finished, you want to add up all of the true remarks that you have. If you have 11 or more truths, then you are more introverted than extroverted. And the more truths that you have above 11, the more introverted that you are. If you are an introvert, don't feel like you have to change or that you have to pretend to be extroverted. You are wonderful just the way you are, and you have so much to contribute to the world, so take all the time that you need to recharge. So yes, everyone, I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please feel free to come back any Tuesday or Friday for more new videos here on the Maya's Dream channel. Thank you so much for watching, and namaste. Bye!